Nah, let's hope not. No. He has 4. He has 4 of these. I think he's bought them all. We're hoping because other people want. He's lent me this. I didn't have the original banjo, which is what we call that, the part that holds the tools for it. And we're going to try to make a pattern for that. Those are very rare, as a lot of these machines don't have all their parts, or you know, they were working machines, as I said, and so, you know, people did work, so they'd weld stuff on, or, you know, it's getting old, so now we're going to make it into something else. So to find one in original condition, it's really, really rare.
So you cornered the market. Now, later on, you're going to be the only guy with something to say.
I've opened my mouth too much, eh? I talk too much, eh? I got all the machines I want, so I'm going to share and try to go get these. But I can't get a Wadkin now. There's too many getting them. A Wadkin stays on. This is an English drill press. This is a Jones and Shipman. They actually are now doing precision instruments for aerospace, so they're still in business. And what's interesting about this is a slightly kind of a jig board. Now I was telling you about hand scraping, how they hand scrape parts. You look really closely there, you see a pattern on that metal. It's actually all done by hand. That's a chisel scraping that surface, and it's also to hold oil. So this is a jig bore. You don't change the table. And this is really good. This one's out of the National Research Council's 1932 machine. What's really good, you know, sometimes you're drilling a hole, and then you go, oh, that seems thin. You go crank your table up, and you go, oh, no, I'm set. So what's good about this, you can drill a hole, lock your piece down, I can change no matter what it is, and I never lose center, ever. This is not what it is. That's original bearing. Put a dial on that, that's at £0.5 pound. I don't know what the Research Council bought that for. I don't know, probably to drill finger holes and make either a storage container. I don't know. But this machine is one of my favorite. It was a super high speed. It's a high speed drill. So I just spun a little piece of aluminum. This is just all big birch. So I'll make something here that I want to get a leather belt made, but we use this a lot. I put an Elbit truck. I don't know if any of you guys use these keyless chucks. They're fantastic. Okay, I can't believe how good these are. So you don't use a key anymore. Okay, you don't use a key anymore. Okay, you see how tight I did that? That's it.
Usually they don't grab it.
No, you got that jerk. You got that jerk. But we don't pay retail, right? None of us pay retail here, right? We all look. We don't go to a store to buy any of this stuff. It's in the garbage, okay? And you know, that's it. That's really fast. And I have to crank my other one up. But if you look at it, when I actually, you'll see the thing that you're spinning as I go down. So if that slips, that actually tightens it even more. I've never put it in any tighter, and it's very easy. I never put it in. That's it. That's as tight as it is. And it doesn't score the outside. So if you're looking for new chucks, get these keyless chucks.
Albrecht.
Well, they're more machine. Yeah, that's a really good one. But even the Chinese stuff,
Busy Bee.
compared to yes, Busy Bee does make it. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be better than what you got on your machine. If it's a keyless for the most part, you can start at 25 and you can go to $2,000. They're machine shop stuff, but everything's machine shop stuff really now. It's all machine shop stuff. It's all being made in China. So anyway, that's pretty rare. I haven't seen too many of those. And that was just for interest. That was $100 that machine. And you know, and you can't. One person cannot pick this up. You cannot pick that up. It's too heavy. You can't. I can't pick that up. I don't know how much that was. 300 pounds. You can't pick it up. So I got it on there. I can slide it down the lathe. So if I have to turn 8 feet, which I haven't yet, I gotta take that off. So I hope it We all know what that is. Okay, this is this is a burr screen. So in the Wadkin world, people heard of Wadkin burr screen. Burr screen was its own company. In fact, that tipping saw out there is a Burroughs and Green saw. Mr. Burroughs and Mr. Green created burr screen. They were an engineering company, and they were quite innovative. This is a 1950s machine. And notice it's not a wave, it's not a slanted wave. This is a parallelogram table. One of the very first ever developed. So this is a very special. This was a pattern makers to put by your bench. So this was a little machine. This jointer here is heavier than this jointer. Okay? Look at the size of the head on that. Look at the size of the diameter of the head on that. This is a little jointer. Like you look at your jointer. I'm sure it's not that big around. Once again, look at knives. Angled knives, sheer angled knives. Okay? Very special. 2 knife heads, but big heads. Very clean. You know, you know, there's your adjustment. Parallelogram runs on those 2 little bars. There's your gauges. 2 horsepower. This is a very rare machine. Jarrett has this same model in the 9-inch. This machine was made for approximately 3 years. When Wadkin bought this company, they stopped making this machine because it mirrored some of the stuff that they were doing, and they canned it. And they never really got up to this level of technology with parallelogram tables instead of weight, you know, you know, this type of tables, which is that's why it's brass, which is you know, those wear and go out. This is dead flat. It had a pork chop bolted on. I made this, which is the English. The English don't use a pork chop guard. Okay, it's illegal. They use a bridge guard. And how you set up a bridge guard is you feed your work over and you bring your hand like this. Okay. If you're doing that, you slide that out and you feed your stuff here. That's how. Okay. Now the advantage, you might say that sounds like a waste of time, but what's good about the bridge guard is it gives you constantly access to the entire knife. Also, allows me to skew my board. For the work job, I'm always against the fence, and I'm always, okay? So if I want to skew wood, I can skew my wood, and I'm always doing that. I can run a board here. So I'm always wearing my knives even. I'm not just wearing them at the fence, because that's where the guard stays, okay? And it's removable, you know, so it's pretty quick. I like the bridge guard. Took me a little bit of getting used to. You know, a lot of people, oh, I don't like to adjust my hands, you know, but it took all of 10 minutes to get used to, and I prefer this one.
They're very nice to use.
Yeah, I personally think they're better. The modern ones are really slick for your hand to slide over. And they're narrow enough that you almost have the same content. So you just roll over. But what's really nice is look at how close my hands are to the cutter. So I got lots of pressure in front and back of that cutter. So once you get used to it, you don't have the rattle, unless of course you're just pushing over the cutter head with no guarding, right? Which a lot of us.
Yeah, the other
might be familiar.
thing bridge guards do, the one on my jointer has a slight radius in it.
Is it loaded?
No, but it has a slight radius in it, and there's flex in it.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll hold the wood against the bottom of the fence for you.
Well, there's a Salvania guard. Is
yes.
that guard? That's a $2,500
that's
guard.
a bit of money. Yeah.
It's on the Martin. Eh? Martin.
Martin, yeah.
It's a beautiful guard. It comes out for big. It comes down and collapses out here. You know, the pork chop on that's all right. It swings out. It's not too bad. You got to go around. Put it on a board. You put it on a 26-inch joiner. You got a pork chop sitting out here. Okay. Okay. So it's in your way. Where the bridge guard, because you go underneath, doesn't stick out. So I think I like the pork chop for a small jointer because it's quick and it's convenient. You don't have to set it out. And for the most part, it's pretty good if it springs back. And, right? So I don't mind that. They say that it's old. The biggest problem is it's open at the end of the cut, right? So we'll use a push stick or whatever, right? But this is a very pretty machine. This has Art Deco design. If you weren't familiar with that style, and I love Art Deco, so I added all all this brass stuff. I jacked from. So, but the burr screen, I got that from the burr screen, which is another burr screen, and that aluminum is original stuff. You know, so that kind of inspired me to, why didn't they do that for that, you know?
That's real art.
Yeah, yeah. That's become a very popular style to collect now in the machinery world is Art Deco. There's people that strictly want to have an Art Deco shop. And it's a good era because they made some good stuff during that too, right? And then you get the designers coming in, so stuff's pretty, and you know what I mean? Some guys are sitting in here with lawn chairs, and I'm guilty of it too, having beers, talking with everybody, and we're not doing anything, but just looking at the machines. This is a 1950s stock. Radial arm saw. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. You know it's a joke, okay, what I did here? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just to make sure, you know it was a joke. Anyway, that's a 14-inch saw, and a lot of people badmouth this saw. They think that it's obsolete. There's no use for it. Takes up too much space. What am I going to use it for? And thank you. I got this for $139. Okay. I don't know anything cheaper on the market today that will spin a 14-inch blade for $100 and change. You go find me a tool. Okay. So I love them, and I do set them up to run joinery. This particular radial arm saw, I think, is one of the better ones. It's made by Delta, which I wouldn't say Delta is comparable to Wadkin, but this is good stuff. This particular model is good. What's good about it is the bearings that ride in this track are serviceable, and you can rotate them. The ubiquitous DeWalt ran all of their bearings in milled cast iron. So if you did wear, and of course, there's always worn right here, right? Right. So when you get out here, it would stiffen up. Okay. And the only way to repair those would be re-mill all those, which would be $800. So why would you do it? So most of these saws are worn out, and everybody goes, I can't tune. It does stay set. It's because it's worn out. There are a few of these that are good, and this cost me about $25 to restore. You just rotate the bars. I repacked the bearings. Some of them are obsolete. And then I bought this out of a school. It didn't have a brake. It was 3 horsepower. Put a variable frequency drive. This was a cheap one. That puts a brake on it. So I've only got this running at 7 because it's a joke. Okay, but it stops it. See that? So that's why the school sold it. The school sold it because it didn't have a brake, and that's $150. And the guy at the school board got 2 of those.
I had one of those. I bought it in 1970 for $2,000.
Sears?
No.
Oh yeah. Well, those were selling for $10.
Yeah. $1970.
Yeah.
But there's no brake on it. So
No.
how much? Can you
So
put
it
that
well,
on? It's a 220 though.
has to be 3-phase.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay, it's the single-phase ones had little boxes in here
Yeah.
you could get. They had a lot of troubles with them. Well, after 70 years, right?
You can do DC injection for the
On single-phase?
Yes, it's used on single.
They're going to be more than one of those, eh?
No, they now come in a small module.
Okay, so you can.
Yeah, you have to interlock them with the starter, and they typically have a built-in timer, so they engage it for 5 to 10 seconds.
And where does its power supply come from? Okay.
So what it does, it just injects DC in.
Which is what that actually does. I think the variable frequency is DC injection, or there's 2 types there.
But they can be DC injection.
Yeah. And I haven't added any, you can add extra resistors to stop massive amounts of weight.
My table saw, it has DC injection because of course the EU saws have a
Right, we have
built-in
to stop in
requirement.
10 seconds.
And that's all it is, it's just DC injection.
Okay, because it's sealed. Yeah. None of that stuff's too interesting, I don't think. The sanders are pretty cool. These are all pattern maker sanders. Oliver copied this one. This is an Engelbert, Syracuse, New York sander. Porter Cable actually made this sander. Porter Cable was bought out by Syracuse Sanders. We're talking the original Porter Cable. The one you got skill saws and stuff like that. This is what they made.
Got one of the porta cables.
You got one of these?
Porta cable, yeah.
Yeah. That's the oldest one, I believe. This is a later model, but this is really not a woodworking machine. It's a grinder, precision grinder. So it was more for metal working, but you could use it for woodworking. 5 horsepower.